Hello? Let's see. Hello? Now I'm sweating immensely, but the microphone that I have is not the normal microphone. For some reason it's just not showing up. Yes, I know, the sound is very bad. I can lower the volume a bit. Let's see if I can tweak some parameters here. Maybe something like this. It's still triggering a lot of noise, I can see. Let's go like 15 maybe. Don't want the gain. Is it better without the compressor and the limiter on it as well? Maybe the limiter, I'll keep that. Let's keep it like this. It's obviously not ideal. I would have liked to have my normal microphone working, but for some reason it's just not showing up at all. Like if I go to my thing here, you can see it's just not there. Oh, now it is. Wait. So why is it not showing in here then? Hang on. Let's temporarily turn off this and let's set this to here. And now I think we should have the normal voice again. Hopefully. Okay. That was a little bit of a strange start. I have some hardware issues for a while now. I had some camera issues the last stream, as you guys recalled, and now it's the microphone. Hopefully, when I get the new apartment and I reset up everything, I can also set up my PC better. Maybe get a better, you know, USB dongle for all of the different things that I need to plug in and stuff like that. I just want to have it on my desk because now it's below my PC and I literally had to crawl on the ground to get it fixed. But yeah, anyway, we're going to get into some feedback. As I wanted to say before, we already have a bunch of tracks. We have even more now. People are already submitting, so that's very, very nice. We're just going to get started with the first one. One of the things that I wanted to say before we get into it is that I am doing a question and answer for when I have 10K subscribers. It is going to be a little bit of a subscriber special video. So you guys can post in here and ask me questions. I do say like any discussion will be deleted here because I just want this channel to be purely questions so that I can go through it easily in the video. So if you have any questions for Q&A that you want to ask me, anything related to music production, my personal life, that kind of stuff, yeah. I just bought a big hub. I want to get one of those 10-port USB hubs that I can like literally put on the desk. But that's for when I move, which will be the end of this month, beginning next month. And that will also be when 10K is happening, when I get to 10K subscribers. Somebody calculated it for me and it should be around the 6th of September. Okay. Let's get started. So this first track, we'll just dive into it for now because I have nothing more to say. So this first track is Subtropic Studios with Rave Love. Anyone from me, mate, always appreciate your thoughts. I hope the levels are still okay and nothing is too loud. I really like the mix. It's a good vocal mix. Okay, that's a little bit of a strange turnaround, I would say, for the song. I was also expecting the drop to have a little bit more impact, overall just a bit more volume. I feel like the bass line is fairly quiet as well. Yeah, I was expecting something different. I wasn't expecting psytrance from the intro. Yeah, now we're back to kind of like a trance feeling, kind of those kind of chords, a progressive house. This is almost like a hardstyle chord with the way that it plays and the brightness that it has. It doesn't really sound like psytrance to me. Also, why is it panned to the right? Now it's okay, but before it was. I cannot really tell anything about the cleanliness of the kick and bass. Here, yeah. You can see it's not cleaned up. At least that is what we can deduce from this thing going up here. Strange track, I'm gonna say. Also, the arrangement doesn't really work for psytrance because it's too short, right? Especially the second drop is way too short for an actual psytrance track. Overall, though, in terms of production and mixing, it's not like there's anything wrong with it from a technical view. It's just artistically, I'm a little bit questioning where you want to go with this track. Do you want to make it a kind of pop song or something like that, and keep some of those pop elements in there, or do you really want to go into more of a psytrance thing? It's like it's sitting in between being psytrance and not being psytrance. Right? Normally what happens when you write a breakdown for a track is that you take the drop into consideration and try to keep a very similar theme. One of the things here is that the kick and bass is actually quite dark in terms of its tonality, and obviously the breaks are very uplifting. It literally says lift me up in the vocal. So it's a bit of a chaotic way of going from very bright elements to very dark elements. And I don't think it really works for me. Let's move on to the next track. This is Night Harvest by Virtual Instinct. Build Your Dreams, welcome. I haven't said hello to anyone. Klaus, Zendo, Gabriel, Zen Lion, Malogify, MindB. Welcome everybody. I'm sorry. All of the confusion with the microphone at the beginning made it so that I didn't say hello to anyone. I'm missing over anyone. I don't think I did. Build Your Dreams. But yeah, this is going to be Virtual Instinct with Night Harvest, 150 BPM. Going to be some interesting dark stuff, hopefully. Crystal, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. That's an aggressive bass line. Yeah, this is what I suspected. You could see no clarity in the transients. And this is something that I talked about before, about cleaning up your kick and bass. It's just something that you have to do. Because otherwise you get this kind of heavy, muddy feeling. This together with the very strong sub. I think those two together, the fact that you didn't clean your kick and bass, I think I've listened to this track before on the feedback stream, and I think that the things that I've said then still apply. In the sense that the synth is doing all kinds of random things. What the main synths are doing don't really match the rest of the track. There isn't a universal rhythm. It is indeed very loud. Yes, it is summing on top of each other, because that's literally what happens when you don't clean your kick and bass. You get the sub bass, as you can look at this kick transient here. It's completely destroyed by what is happening in this bass line, and that bass line is destroying the next bass line, and the kick is destroying this bass line here, and so on and so on. So you just have this constant wall of sub bass instead of neatly compartmentalized parts, and therefore you need to clean your kick and bass. That's just a requirement. I've said it so many times. And still, the synths don't really make sense from an arrangement point of view. They're just doing random things. It's not enough to make a synth sound and put a modulation on top of it. It needs to have a goal. I can see what's happening here. I think. Can I explain? Yeah, here. You can see you have rhythms that don't start on the bass note. That's part of the reason why it's so confused. You can see the bass notes in here, the bass transient there, and then the note starts here, here, and here. It doesn't line up with the grid, this actual sound. Here as well. Getting pretty bored of the sounds that are in this part of the track, because we've heard them for the whole track already. not really changing. It's going all over the place all the time. So it's always crazy. And it's always the same level of crazy. Also no progression in the loop, it's just the kick and bass continuing all the time with the same drums, at least in this case with the same drums. There's no fills in here, no change to the bass melody. Here we're directly going into a... is it a break, is it a fill? It's hard to tell. Like if that's a fill, I would expect there to be some elements that keep the energy. It sounds like all of the rhythms were made by choosing random note lengths and positions and stuff like that. There's no thought to it. What should the element do? It feels like randomly generated. So here we have one kick fill, but there's not really your traditional fills, right? The 1 bar, half a bar, maybe 2 bars. But then again, there's not really sections in this track as well. It just kind of all happens. I've heard this before, and I think I've said all of these things already. I don't know what else to say. I remember having heard this track before because I recognized the synth kind of going all crazy. And not in a good way, because it just happens all the time, right? There is just, as I said, the best way I can describe it is you didn't really think about what all of the elements should do in the context of the track. You just kind of said like, okay, there needs to be a synth. Okay, I'm going to take the synth and I'm going to modulate it and I'm just going to randomly trigger it with the notes. Do I have a good read on arrangement, intention and storyline? I have videos. I don't do like articles or stuff like that. I make videos. And they are Psy specific. Okay, I'm going to continue from here. Next up is Zen Lion. Let's see what you have. I can probably work on some... Wait, I can probably work some more on phrasing and the proper timing for sections. Many elements will be too loud or soft, as I haven't spent a lot of time tweaking the levels. This is a continuation of a short clip I sent a while back. It's a very early production, basically just some ideas. Projectile left. Use some silence at the end for the autoplay. That's very thoughtful. Thank you. Very minimal vibe here. My first recommendation would looking into the stereo field. Up until this point, the levels don't really seem off yet. Part of that is because there's very little happening, so there's very little that can go wrong. Kick and bass is slightly going into each other, I think, here. This oscillation is slightly going into that other bass note there. That's something you want to take care of. For example, here the percussions, I would make them a little bit more stereo. It helps with not having them so stale. Overall, I would say that the loop of the percussion and even the whole beat is getting stale at this point. So there needs to be some evolution at some point in this like first drop segment. It's hard to understand that vocal. It's not really a problem because it's just like a little snippet. It's not like a real storytelling vocal, right? I think that's a little bit too silent there. And now we're basically back into the same loop with a little bass variation. I do like that, but for example, the drum loop is entirely the same. Kick is also a bit strange in that it does not really have punch to it. I think it's just like a transient and then the sub immediately. Normally a sidetrans kick is a little bit longer. I guess it can work for this kind of style. I was hoping you were gonna do something with that higher energy, but it just kind of fades out, which is unfortunate. I do like the feeling, I do like the groove, the production overall is very good. Sound design is great. There's a lot of things to like here. Just a few to look at again. This level of detail that you have here is actually very good. There should just be a little bit more change over time, a little bit more progression. Very nice. Sounds good. Also, thank you for letting it ring out, allowing me to skip the autoplay. Next up, we still have 2 more tracks in submission. Next up is Alomas, Synthesia, 140 G sharp in Raurani. Wait. Raurani. I don't know what this means. I would personally give this effect some delay. And I would like the intro to evolve a bit more over time. It just feels like it's trans-gated all the way through. And now the kick and bass is just randomly going to start playing at some point. It's nice and clean. It's not, as you can see here, this bass note is being destroyed by the bass note that's happening before it. This transient is being destroyed. You want to fix that? Bidan, welcome. I hope you found the place to submit. It's right here. Feedback on stream. This channel right there. Overall, I would say that the bass line is a little bit too quiet. That main plug, this one here, the tak-tak, I think it's too mono. I said before it should have delay, but it's also playing too many times now. It's just kind of going throughout the whole drop. It's also this kind of track, everything is just kind of happening and it doesn't really seem to have a purpose. Yeah, I don't like that bass line. It's too quiet now, but I also don't like the texture of it. Strange kind of bit crushing high end. I don't like that sound. The vocal is nice. Here again, that triple sound that is playing just sounds out of place. And now also the vocal gets taken over by another vocal, which is a bit strange. That's a much nicer bass line. You should use that in the first one. And you should also clean it up. This works a lot better with the track. This part. In terms of how full it is. I still don't like that sound that is playing 3 times after each other. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum. That sound doesn't work for me. I do like that decimated bass top end a lot, but that's taste. Yeah, that is 100% taste. There's nothing wrong with it. In this case, I just don't feel like it works with the track. I can sometimes see it where it worked with the track, if the track sounds fairly dark. Because it's a form of distortion, right? So you associate it with aggression. Also that strange flanger thing that is happening, I don't like the sound of that because it's too bright for the section that it plays in most of the time. You can hear the difference between volumes between this bass line and the one that we had before. The last one sounded much more convincing, a lot more powerful, maybe even too much. It's like the bass level is a little bit in between it, maybe a little bit closer to the second one. Mr. Friendly, welcome. I think this track also, one of the problems that I see with kind of beginning producers, even intermediate producers, is that they take the same elements and try to use them and work them for the whole track. That seems to be the case here as well. In that you took these elements that you created for the very first segment of the track, and then you just kind of played everything throughout, or played those elements throughout the whole track. To me, that doesn't work. At some point, you just have to say, okay, we have to do a switch up, and then we stop all of the old elements and go into the new elements, right? And this is something that I explained in my walkthrough for Mushroom Song, the way that they go about, like each section has its own unique main element, and then some supporting elements kind of carry over between different segments. But there's unique one-shots and stuff like that, and I feel like this track doesn't do any of that at all. It just kind of starts with the sequences and the sounds that it starts with, and it tries to use those throughout the whole track. Yeah, the one sound is too dominant. I believe all of your sounds are too dominant. When it comes to progression, at some point you have to rise up into kind of like a high point, and then you move on to the next segment, and that segment is going to have different sounds in there, right? It does mean that you have to make more sequences, but overall your track is just going to work a lot better. Next up we have Oren with Tal V6 MP3. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't really know, of course. This is some techno stuff. Completely mono. That sounds very strange. I'm not a fan of the kind of sidetrance bass line that's on top of it on the offbeat. The double sidetrance bass line offbeat. This should just be normal techno. So overall, as you can hear, great production. It sounds great. There were a few details to work out, a few different things I would say that you need to take care of. Cleanliness, stereo fields. Overall, I think the other thing is like your prioritization in which elements should be up front. I think I said it with the what's it called? The vocal. That the vocal is as a main element, it's too far behind all of the other elements, and as well as, for example, with that kick that you had in the build-up to the last drop, there was a kick and a snare, and the kick was completely loud. It was to the maximum. It was like triggering the limiter and peak, kind of clipping at 0 dB, I would say even. But then the snare was very low in the background. That's just like a thing of priority, or of thinking about, okay, what should each element do? I was going to say priorities, but that's not entirely true, because I personally think they should have the same priority. It's just that at that point the kick needs to be quieter and the snare needs to be way more aggressive, so that they together have the same level of aggression and they together form an aggressive build-up. Now it's just the kick being very, very aggressive and in your face, and then there's this weak-ass snare behind it that doesn't really convince me of anything, I should say. Sonic Flux, welcome. Mars Earlock, welcome. The kick is too aggressive. No, that's techno. I like that. It's not psytrance, but that's how techno is done. Anyway, I hope that it's useful information. I wanted to say, for anybody who is new to the stream and anybody who doesn't really know how this works, I like to say as few things as possible. So I'm not going to sit while the track is playing and just say like, okay, I like that sound, I like that sound. I don't think that's very useful. As a consequence, it can come over that I might be very negative, as I only point out negative things. But I think that that's a better contribution than just sitting there and saying like, oh, I like that, stuff like that. So that's the reason why I do that. It's just so that you guys can hear the track as much as possible. For now though, let's look at Echoes by Sonic Flux, who is also in chat here. Very nice. Here you have some ambient. I appreciate the feedback once again. You're welcome. I'm glad that you find it helpful. But the rolling bass line was not stereo. When I heard the first kick and bass, it was completely mono. You could see a straight line down the middle here, completely mono. So no stereonizing was done on that. That's at least the bass line that was in the first part and in the last part. Like the little droplets. They could use some reverb. Also those kind of drums in there. Those things do have reverb, but the rest is a little bit dry. Like that clicky sound, personally, I would just give that a bunch of reverb. Kicks also be in stereo then? The rumble? Yes. The kick itself, maybe not, no. Maybe that the high frequencies of your kick can be a little bit in stereo. But low frequencies, you don't want those to be in stereo. No. And kicks do contain low frequencies, so that kind of excludes them from there. would say this track is a little bit too dry. I like the pads, those sound good in terms of their wetness. They sound very washed out and stuff. But the main stuff, like those click things, they're just completely dry. There's a little bit of delay on them, but no reverb. Here also the acid line could use more reverb. I don't like the kick and snare sample. It sounds like you took a normal sidetrance kick and a normal sidetrance snare and used those. And I would expect something a little bit more oomphy, a little bit more punchy, and a little bit more dynamic. In this case, I would expect those hi-hats to be maybe a bit filtered, not so bright in your face. This isn't the high energy sidetrance track that they're originally designed for. Even though they're playing a slow rhythm, it does feel a little bit out of place. I was too lazy to find other drums. Oh. I would encourage you to find other drums. It does, to me, it doesn't fit the track. Also, at this point, I have to say the track is getting boring. Now, obviously, the drums stop and we get into a little bit of a lower energy part. And the track is almost finished as well. But I overall feel like there could be a little bit more progression, especially in the part where the drums actually sit. That part is lacking a little bit of progression for me. Before it was okay. Overall, very, very good production though, I like it. Being lazy in sound design can ruin your work on an all-around great track. I think the biggest problem when it comes to laziness is that people are lazy in finding the functionality of each of the sounds in their track. Sorry, that's autoplay. Also, Basilisk and Rooted, welcome to the stream. Glad you guys are joining me. Exclamation point feedback if you want to submit your own track. I got another ambient track if you allow me. Yeah, well, of course. Go ahead. Currently, in fact, we have no tracks waiting for the queue, so I'm actually literally not listening to anything right now. So if you have something to present like this, Garden of Stars, then we can listen to it. This is much better already on the ambience and the use of reverb. What is the extra bass thing there? It's like the kicker's reversing as well. That's very strange.
I'm looking at the stars, we are literally looking back through time.
In this case, I would like to hear more clarity for the vocal. Because the vocal is really saying something, right? It's contributing to the story. This drum loop does fit a lot better with the track. A nice bass line at this point would have been nice. Just something like something that keeps the rhythm. You know what I mean? I like that little stop there. That's cool attention to detail. At some point I do have to say that the drum loop and the synths get a little bit stale. It doesn't really reach a climax, it just kind of stays at the same energy level. It's not moving around like you would normally expect with like the ambient sound. It kind of reaches a climax and then it stops and then it slowly comes in again. Cybernetic, welcome. How are you doing? If there are more submissions, oh there are, yes, nice, perfect. For those that don't know, !feedback will get you to my Discord server, and there you scroll down to feedback on stream and then you should be able to submit. I do really like your sound design. This is a really cool warm track. I would like it to be a little bit more warmer overall. Like I think the sub bass could be a bit stronger in the part, or as I said before, you can have like an actual bass line adding some warmth to it, like a nice moog bass or something like that. Obviously here it's a little bit less important than in the parts where the drums are. Overall, very cool track. Next up we have Basil Subkey. I'm sorry, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but your names are very difficult to pronounce. I'd really appreciate your thoughts on this track I made that's heavily inspired by Spongle. I'm still learning. I hope you give me some feedback. We're all still learning. Your browser is unable to play the audio file. That's unfortunate. Let me just download it then. In 15 seconds I'll be able to play it. It's still 15 seconds. I just downloaded half the file and the time didn't move forward whatsoever. Now it's getting there. Okay. Here we are. This is Basil Subkey _ DAW composition _ music composition dot wave. Ah, wait, I know what. I like this. This is cool. I do think some of the sounds are maybe a little bit too resonant. I think the drums should come through more. Especially like the kick. Should have a little bit more oomph to it, a little bit more punch. And the snare as well. Something strange is happening to the kick here. Oh, look at that volume. I think you applied the glitch to your master, which is not a good idea because you want your kick and your drums to follow the same beat, I guess. You at least want a sub bass which is clean from your kick. Right, it doesn't really have any sub bass frequencies. It kind of stops at like 60-70 hertz. I would have that go down to 40 hertz. Strange kind of plugs here. I don't know what their function is. I don't really like the piano, if I'm gonna be honest. It feels too normal. Beer is finished. I was only allowed to use Ableton stock piano sounds. Okay. Still, overall, I think you could change the tonality of the sound with just a little bit of EQing to just get it into a better place. Maybe get it a little bit darker, give a little bit more space to the other elements. I think it overall is a bit too upfront, the piano. But I do really like it. The track, again, as I said before, I don't point out the positive things if I'm playing the track because I would constantly talk. I feel like my community, everybody is at least at a level of production where the music is just enjoyable to listen to. And it's just detail work going into actually getting it to an actual professional level. If you understand what I'm saying. There's very few people, there's sometimes somebody that where the track is just like, after a while you just get sick of listening to the track. But most of the time that's not the case with my community. I want to quickly put on a track of my own. Why is this disabled? Oh yeah, because that's on the different hard disk. I had to pull up one of my hard disks for my microphone to work now. Let's see. I guess this track I can play. Is this finished? In terms of composition, how long is this? This is 8 minutes. Yeah, I can play this. This might be a little bit of an empty track, but this is something that I've been working on. For some reason here, the left channel is louder than the right. I don't know what that's about. That doesn't make any sense. Here it's the case as well. I'm working on a new bass patch. I actually have a video coming out very soon with a new technique on new bass stuff. Or do I want to play that other one? I do want to play this one. I'll keep this track, the 88 track, I'll keep that a secret. I'll leave you guys with this. This overall is just a better production as well, so you guys will enjoy it more. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick break. Raven, I did see that you submitted something. You submitted some high-tech experimental track. That's very nice. I'll be right back. I'll just put on this track for a little bit, and then when we get back, I'll get right back into giving feedback. In the meantime, you guys can still submit your tracks for feedback. While you're here, if you want to ask me any questions for the 10K subscriber special, make sure to do so in this track. Again, I remove any other form of discussion because I just want this to be questions. But everybody can go here and ask me questions. The more questions, the better. And we're hitting it very, very soon. Hopefully by the end of the month, we will be hitting the milestone. Maybe a little bit later. People are saying the 6th of September. So get your questions in. And then after that, we'll get back to feedback on stream. For now, though, I'll take a quick break and I'll be right back with some more feedback. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Everybody is invited to my apartment. Oh no! I don't think my apartment is big enough, at least not the new one that I'm going to. This one that I'm living in now might be able to host all of you guys, but the new one definitely doesn't. I barely have space for myself actually, but that's because I'm dedicating one of the rooms to become like an actual studio. And it's only a 2-room apartment, so I will be sleeping in the kitchen. But it's worth it, because then I can really focus on just having one room that is purely dedicated to recording and doing studio work. I can get new speakers, I can get some, what's it called, some sonar works on them. Get it all set up and properly start doing things. Hello Dash, welcome. Crystal. Focus on cooking. Yes, I will do cooking streams. The terrible thing is that my kitchen now is too bad to actually show on stream. The new one won't be a lot better, but it will be a little bit better. I will be cooking up some mad tunes, yes, exactly. Just like these ones. Let's finish this here. You need a house? Do you know how expensive a house is? If only you could just get a house. Millennial problems. I don't mind apartments. In fact, I think it's nice because you don't have that much space that you have to worry about. With like cleaning and stuff. I really like the energy from the second half. It's meant to be like a track that you put in a set to transition from the kind of Sybient vibe into your psytrance part of the track. It's hard to maybe use it in like an actual mix because the first part is like slower. I don't really know where as a DJ you would transition into it. But overall I think that the concept is cool and it sounds good, so that's why I made it. You can find cheap houses in the countryside. The problem with finding a cheap house in the countryside is that you need a car. And then you just end up spending that money that you're saving on the house on the car. Right? Because if you live in the countryside, there's no way that you're going to walk to the store. There's no way that you're going to walk everywhere that you need to go. And the nice thing about having an apartment and not having a car is that you don't have any of the costs associated with a car. The problem for me is that the car, when it comes to what I do... Why is this part not going away? Can you leave? There we are. The reason why I don't like having a car or something like that is with the things that I do, a car would be standing still 99.9% of the time. Right? Like you can imagine that I basically sit in this room and work on videos or music or anything related to what I'm doing as an online presence. I have some other side things as well, editing for other people as well that I do. So I just kind of wake up, sit here at the PC, do the work that I want to do, and then go to bed again. There's not many places that I have to go. And if I did need to go some places and I would always need to have a car because I was living in the countryside, then I would just have a car sitting around that I would use once or twice a week. And that's not really worth it for me for the amount of money that you pay for a car. At that point, I'd rather spend a little bit more, live in the city and just walk everywhere by foot because it's also healthier. Your accent sounds like you are originally Dutch. Well, I have maybe a surprise for you, but I am. I do live in Italy now, and I've been living here for 10 years, so my accent has been changing a little bit. But I am indeed Dutch, born and raised until I was 16. Anyway, let's get on to the next track. This is Raven. This is experimental track. It's 195 BPM, so this is going to be fun. Let's see what Raven has in store for us. If it will load. There we are. It sounds like you had a patch here for that saw wave, but it's for some reason reverted back to the initialized patch. I don't like the transient here, clean up your baseline, and also align it properly. Rotterdam. Aha. Feyenoord fan. Just like me. At our house it's always, because my dad and my sister root for Ajax, which is the Amsterdam football club, and my mother and I root for Feyenoord, which is the Rotterdam football club, which are the two biggest rivals in the Netherlands. So we always have very fun Sunday evenings when Studio Sport is coming on. This sounds nice. Apart from the kick and bass cleanliness, there's not really much to say here. Okay, I don't like this bass line. I liked it more when it was at the same note all the time. That's a strange effect. I like the fact that you're using the stereo in the way that you're, or the stuff that you're doing, like the fills. I like that second one. That caught me off surprise a little bit. One of the things about fills is that you have to announce the fills that are coming.
Got to experience zero gravity.
Which usually happens with a bunch of risers.
And at some point during the night, an armadillo crawled in. Big fun, big fun. I ate a butterfly. My pee is like toothpaste.
I don't exactly know what's happening here. The bass line sounds very strange. Suddenly there's an extra harmonic there. And now it's gone again. Hello guys, long time no see. Nice to catch a stream again. Aiden, welcome back. It has indeed been a long time. like this bass line more than the last one that you had. I think you're maybe going a little bit too experimental here. For example, this bass line just... It feels like you don't know what you're doing in the production. I'm gonna be honest with you. Also, it feels like the bass line consistently plays after the kick. I would expect if you're doing like a sliding bass line like this, that you're sliding it in over time and not just playing it behind the kick. But it feels like I think you can in fact even see that. Even here, that the bass line kind of starts playing here. And this is where the kick is, so you would expect the bass line just kind of fade in with a sidechain. Because it's a sliding bass, but it's not doing that. This is also a very long track. You're doing a good job of not making it stale in terms of the bassline changes and stuff like that, but I do feel like the synths. We now have this atmosphere in here which is carrying the novelty of this part of the track. Hope you've all been well. Yes, we have. Or at least, I'm speaking for myself here, but I have. I think everybody else as well. Yeah, it's playing delayed, right? That's basically what it's doing. What's happening here? I don't like this. It sounds strange. This as well, this bass line makes no sense. Now it just kind of feels like you, again, as you don't know what you're doing when it comes to like the bass rhythm and the melody.
Somehow as I sat there, I found that primal part of the human spirit that just wants to keep on living.
I like the vocal mix.
But I can't quit.
This bass is a bit much. Yes, indeed. I like the idea. I just don't think that it works. Bit strange way of saying it. Also, this kind of idea is going to work much better if you clean it up, right? If you mix this track properly, then things are it's going to stand out more and it's going to work more. Like one of the things, as I said before, the synths are getting very, very boring, but they are masking the kick and bass very, very strongly. Not too strong. It's kind of just their job, right? To sit on top of the kick and bass. But that means that you might not be able to notice the kind of integrities of the bass line, and therefore it feels sloppy. Hello, Cider. Welcome, welcome. I do like your sound design. Your sound design is very cool. Also some cool arrangement things like this halftime thing again. Definitely some cool stuff in this track, but I think the details need a lot of work. So that was Raven, right? Now we have Eden Sun Samilia. Eden Sun Samilia. I hope, again, my pronunciations. Oh. Well, I cannot access this link. Please send me a link that I can actually access. Then I'll be able to play your track. I cannot currently get access there. I can request access, but that doesn't really do much. You should just send me a link that just works. There's plenty of ways to do that on Google Drive, to send me the link that I can just play it. Let me know if you've updated the link, and then I can play it. For now, I'll just move on to Basilisk, We Shall Prevail. And then we'll get back to your track. This is just 3.5 minutes, so we have some ambient feels here. Too many ideas in one track for your taste. I can agree with that. My mic seems to have some kind of ground loop. Oh no, that's just my audio interface being 20 bucks. Unless there's something recently that changed. I'll watch the stream back to see if it's more than other streams, but I think it's just the overall quality of the interface. Once I get new speakers, I'll also get a new interface. Because this is a crappy setup. Here I feel like some of the other elements apart from the kick and bass are a little bit too loud. One of the issues that brings is that I cannot really check your cleanliness. Here I can, I guess. This is good. This is not good. Here you need to cut off a little bit more. Here for the kick, maybe a bit more. It's not too drastic, but I do think that you didn't actually spend time cleaning it. I do really love the vibe of it. This is kind of the vibe that I tried to go for with my track as well, the one that I played in the break. I'm not sure about the hard panning on the auto pan that you're using here on that arc. If you're gonna pan it left and right, I wouldn't go all the way like hard left, hard right. I made it on time after work to submit mine. Nice! I like this. I like that you have this basis for your guitar that you're playing on top of it. I think that's like a recorded guitar, an actual recording of you playing. I cannot imagine that being a plugin. Also because in your profile picture you are playing the guitar, so. Sounds good. Now I can check the cleanliness of the kick and bass. Yeah, you can see this is going into the kick, this is going into the bass. Cleanliness was not taken care of. Here you can see it. This is a massive destruction of the transient. In this case, because you are going so slow, I would recommend, and because the sub bass here at this point isn't really doing anything, I would recommend
your mom.
I hate autoplay. I hate it so much. Whoever invented that needs to be shot. I can understand having it on and off, but just autoplay all the way, all the time, I don't get that. Anyway, here, for example, this kick, you can just fade it out here before the transient even plays. You don't have to deal with that overlap, because the sub bass isn't doing anything here anyway. And here, the bass line just takes over for the sub. Okay. Edon, let's see if I can access your track now. Yes, I can. Perfect. Who was that again? Wait. Oh, here, Eden. Yeah, okay, perfect. Now I can check your track as well. So this is Eden Masta with vertical sky. I don't know how to pronounce this word here, but that's the artist name. I don't expect this online waveform to have any viruses. There was a problem playing this audio file. Ah, it's too big. I'll have to download it again. Oh, this is going to take a while. Let's see if some of the next tracks, if I can see if they're... I did not render it to audio. I think that's why the kick and bass overlap. Yes, you would need to resample your... Not necessarily your kick. You can do that with like an LFO tool, but especially your bass line, because your bass line overlaps into the next note of the bass line as well. You need to resample your bass line at least. At least that is the kind of standard way of doing things. I recently made a serum patch that actually, because I'm using the wavetable technique, and there's going to be a video on this later as well, but because I use the wavetable technique, I can afford not to resample. And I recently made a bass patch that is 100% clean for serum again. I made the one that I made for M Sound Factory, but better, because it has a new technique in it. There will be a video on that with the... You know how for when you're doing multiband processing, you get that effect of the sub bass kind of shifting back more than 360 degrees. I wanted to implement that in my wavetable bass lines because I felt like my bass lines were a little bit lacking the dynamics, and I found actually a way to do that. So there's going to be a video on that as well. Resampling kick and bass should fix that. Yes. So here we have the Eden track, Vertical Sky. Let's see what this is. Vocals are really hard to understand in this track. If you want to use vocals to advance the storyline of your track, oh, this is actual, like old school Goa. If you want to use vocals to advance the storyline of your track, then you need to make sure that they're audible. Yeah, I use that kind of technique where you imprint some kind of processing in. As Des said, you can use the dispersion. I use M freeform phase, but you print that into a wavetable and then you use that for your bass line. I think that this kick and bass could use another like 5 dB. Especially the kick. The kick is not really coming out. It also doesn't feel like it does anything below 100 Hertz. Which is a bit high for my liking. Even with a Goa track like this, I would expect a little bit of a sub-bass oomph. Wavetable basslines, I think, are going to become the new meta. I did a poll recently on how many people use wavetables versus just normal processing, and it's about even between, I think, wavetable and traditional processing. So I think it will take over because it's just easier. And as I said, I'm working on a very big wavetable pack. You're working in an untreated room, yeah. I definitely feel like a mix can use a lot of work. To a certain extent, I get the treatment, you know, the treatment argument. On the other hand, I also work in an untreated room with suboptimal speakers, and I can kind of make it work, I would say. My mixes aren't the best, but they're not terrible. In this case, I do feel like there's just a misjudging of what all of the elements need to do in a track. Like, how important is the kick? The kick is obviously the most important element. And here it's just not coming out whatsoever. I would feel like in any room, the kick wouldn't come through as much as you want it to. And the same is kind of true for the bass line as well here. Sonarworks definitely, yeah. Sonarworks would definitely help with that kind of thing. Once I have my new apartment and my new speakers, I'm going to Sonarworks them as well. I do need to release another product before I can get my speakers though. One of the dead giveaways is indeed what the waveform looks like. I don't know if you were here in the break, but for my track you'll see that the waveform is pretty consistent, even though it's not yet mixed. In the sense that that product was the production mix. So it is mixed, but not the final mix. But you can see that for this track, when it comes to what the synths are doing, they're kind of overtaking the kick and bass. So they're moving the kick and bass up, down, all crazy places. You cannot really see the waveform of the kick nor the bass line in here. You see the waveform of the synths. So the synths are louder than the kick and bass. You can conclude there. The Sonarworks EQ part it is very good at what it does. It is true that it doesn't fix all issues, and that will always be the case unless you actually get your room treated. But for example, for me, I'm going to live in an apartment where I cannot get my room treated. I wanted the synths to be louder, but why? We don't dance to the synths, we dance to the kick and the bass. Than the mixing, there's not much to say. The track is progressing. It does have that kind of old school Goa vibe, so it's a bit slower and it sounds obviously old school. That's what it's meant to do. What I don't get still is the mix. I would also say that the top drums are not loud enough. The synths are just way too loud for this. here again you have these vocals. One of the things that you did is low pass them. But the other thing is that they're just too quiet. If you have a vocal that is talking about the story and you want to advance the story of your track, they need to be intelligible. And currently they're not. They're being masked by other sounds. Since it doesn't mess around with the phase of a sound in any way. What's that supposed to mean? Do you know what an EQ does? When you're EQing something, what do you think happens to the phase? And I think what SonarWorks does, it won't treat reflections and reverberation. You cannot get out of that because that's a purely acoustic thing. But the phase alignment between left and right, you can definitely change by just changing the phase alignment between the left and right. You can do that with a normal EQ. Maybe it can be a byproduct of the traditional EQ curve or the kind of standard EQ curve that puts on top of it. Not standard. The kind of EQ curve that it puts on top of it because of the frequency changes that it wants to do. But it can also be that it detects, I don't know the inner workings of SonarWorks, obviously I don't have it as of right now. It's something for new speakers when I have the new speakers. But the other thing is it can absolutely change the phase if it wanted to. Like if it's able to detect that phase shift, I don't know if it will be with the measurements that you're doing. But if it's able to detect that phase shift, it can just apply an all-pass filter if it needs to actually phase shift it more than what it's getting from the EQ. 100% can it change the phase if it wanted to, because that's something that comes out of the speaker. So you can change it. I'm not a native English speaker, so it's hard to point out what I mean. I understand. Everybody has their own skill of explaining things. Even native speakers sometimes can really ramble on if you want them to. But okay, no, you have to explain it better then if that's not what you meant. For now, let's continue with some more submissions here. Hristo, man who isn't an artist, MDB 260 BPM C. Are you crazy? This is going to be some mad stuff. So this is 260 BPM, everybody. It's like twice the speed that I normally produce at. Oh, is this open bassline track that we heard the last time? I think it is. I don't like the open bassline. I'm not a fan of it. Even at such a high BPM, it just sounds off to me. There's also some issues there with your kicks, every time having a different transient. I think that might be partially the cleaning, because it isn't clean. There's definitely a mess going on here. Unless it does snap back here. Wait, what's happening? Is Is this a stab or is it rolling bassline but without the filter? Hello Tenka, how are you doing? Nice to see you back as well, it's been a while. I like your sound design. I'm not a fan of your idea for the bass line. I like the R2D2 sounds. Those are cool. What the hell is happening to my analyzer? Did you see that? The sound that you sent broke the analyzer. It just kind of ducked down as well, but it just completely stuttered there. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with this bass line, but there's no modulation on it, and it sounds really, really strange. I don't like it. It's like you accidentally turned off the filter and forgot. That was until you pushed me into 260 BPM stuff. It's not me doing it, it's the people that are submitting. I don't take any responsibility for the music that you're hearing. Of this analyzer didn't expect this kind of BPM, yes. Overall, I found that sometimes the signalizer, I have 4 instances open, right? So that makes it sometimes a little bit laggy. Okay, the 260 BPM is now over. So we should return to normal levels of BPM. Overall, I think that the production is pretty good. I just don't like the bass line, and the bass line dominates a little bit. So obviously that's something that you notice pretty much throughout the whole track. Next up we have BIOS. BIOS with waves, work in progress. This is also again a download, so this will take 2 more seconds to download. Okay. Here you have a very analog style synth, and then it's completely mono. Personally, I would make this stereo. In fact, I would make this whole track stereo. Started yesterday. Your BIOS. Okay. Some strange stuff is happening. I think you left a mono maker on accident on the master. Because this should not be the case, that this is completely mono. I'm hearing stuff like reverb and stuff like that, so I think this was done by mistake. A very strong kick and bass, maybe a bit too strong. It's kind of distorting, I think. It feels very gritty in a way that I don't really like. When it comes to the cleaning, you're okay, but only because the notes aren't long enough. If you were to process this more, you would be in trouble with the cleaning, I think. It's made for clubs with mono systems. I don't buy it. I think you left a utility on somewhere that sets the track mono somewhere in the master chain, and you just completely forgot about it. I also think your kick transient is maybe a bit too bright. Normally it's the other way around, but you can see how bright it is even in the very high frequencies here. It was a mistake, it should be stereo. Okay, yeah. I mean, overall, the sound design is okay. It's a bit on the strange side. It's always going to be distracting that this is mono, especially because I'm listening on headphones. So all of the other tracks are stereo, and I really noticed the stereo field. The other thing I would say is that we have now been listening to the same sound for a few sections, and it gets very still very soon. There's only so many modulations that you can put on a sound like this, and I think it's being overused at this point. So you just, at some point, you just transition into a new sound. That also saves you from having to come up with so many different modulations for the same sound. Yeah, I think this kick is too strong on the transient. I can send you a stereo in 2 minutes. I don't think it's necessary anymore. I think we have listened to the majority of the track now, yeah. We'll just imagine the stereo field. Oh, by the way, now that there are many people here, I saw that there was another question in this thing here. If you want to ask me a question for the 10k subscriber special, you can do so in this channel here. Please restrict to questions, no other discussion, because I'll delete anything that isn't a question. But just so you know, that's where you can ask questions if you want to. It's just the same sound over the whole track, and that's a bit of the problem here. It's really hard to keep it interesting, and now at this point it just gets boring. So that's why you need to have a few different sections for each of the drops and use different sounds in each different part of it. think I like the kind of distortion that you have on the bass line here and the high frequencies that create a kind of crackling sound. I don't even know if that's going to translate well to YouTube, but it's the whatever is causing that peak there. And now it's even more on the kick and bass. Phasing, discover in a synth. Ah, with a normal phaser. Ah, okay. Because the kick and bass phasing is almost non-existent. But that's a different kind of phasing. Anyway, let's get into Cider. This is the one from last time. I made 2 different projects from it going in different directions, and this is the one I decided to keep. I just changed the kick and bass based on some feedback from Bo, and it's not rendered, so there might be some bleeding into the notes, and it also has no end. Anyway, this is Cyber Soul by Cider, who has already done the feedback on the track himself that he wanted me to give to him, but I'll do it anyway. The distortion comes from BPB dirty filter. I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't sound good. This sounds cool. The bleeding is minimal, especially on the kick. Maybe here this could just fade out to 0 if you wanted to. At least that's what I would do. I like that your bass line is stereo. I also think your sub bass is stereo. So if you're going to stereonize your bass line, I would recommend filtering out the stereonizing effect. I can do that, for example, with M Stereo Spread. That has, you know, a minimal amount that I can just set up where I want at 200 or whatever. Okay. Either way, that's something that as a tip, just take that into account. Also take into account that your kick and bass is now panned to the left. The last feedback stream, or the stream before, we had somebody who had their kick and bass panned to the right, and now we're panned to the left. Nice acid sound to get us back into it. Yeah, it's the kick and bass being left panned, you can see. Well spotted. Was that some kind of test? At least I passed them. One of the things that I thing this track is missing is its fills and clear denotion between the sections. When you transition from one synth to the other, there should be a fill in the middle. But here you're constantly flipping between different main elements, even though the kick and bass just continues to play. I would personally just go for keeping the acid line the main element, because that's what's bringing the energy for me. Now we have the same acid line kind of used twice here. That's a bit strange. Also, both breaks are long. I think the meta now is that your first break is shorter and then your second break is a little bit longer, so that you can actually relax in the second break, but in the first break you're just building up again. What I use for fills is putting up a reference track for the arrangement. Yeah, that works, but at the end of the day I do think that you should be able to just intuitively know where the fill should be on your track. Like, it's not hard, you just need to count to 15 and then the 16th part is a fill. Right, in terms of bars. That's the most traditional way of doing things. And if you have that under control, from there you can work on other variations, on other ways to do it. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tired. How long has it been? It's not been that long, it's 2 hours. Glitching is not happening in line with the grid here on this kind of synth sound, which means that this would work, for example, for a break, that synth sound, but it doesn't work with the kick and bass because the kick and bass is a very clear indicator of rhythm, so it doesn't fit, right? The two rhythms don't really work well with each other. I have one more track. We don't have a lot of tracks today, actually. But that's good because next week I won't be here, so you guys can build up a few tracks next week. Idan, this is Virtual Sky again. This is a track we already listened to. Ah, he reposted the link because the link was broken. Yeah, okay. Okay. That means that I'm out of music to listen to, actually. Okay, I'm getting some more questions, so at least that's coming in, that's nice. If there are any other people that want to submit, then now is the time. If not, I don't know what to do. You guys are out of music, okay. I've been doing the feedback stream too much. Every week a feedback stream is maybe a little bit on the high side in terms of keeping up with everybody being able to provide tracks and stuff like that. I do like it. I do like the feedback stream more than I like the challenge stream. I liked it more when it was not alternating. Make wavetables. I don't want to. To be honest, I'm not in the mood to do like production myself and stuff like that myself. For my pack. I can show you guys what's going on with the pack. So this is the baseline wavetable pack. This is not the traditional wavetable pack, which is out already, by the way. Anyway, so this is what I have in terms of renders now. And each of the little things that you'll see is going to become a wavetable. And as you can see, these files are pretty long. So there's probably like 200, 300 wavetables in one of these. The idea is that I'm encapsulating a process from M freeform phase, which you can see here. And I'm doing that over 8 wavetables. So each of these 8 wavetables will be a different process. And then there's many different variations of kind of the same process captured into each of the wavetables. You can see it does change over time, right? But I'm not going to be making the wavetables right now. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to, at some point, write a little bit of a program that just chops it up exactly where I need it to and create the individual files, and then I'll manually, I guess, import them into Phaseplant, or maybe even find a method to bulk convert normal wave files into wavetables. Because the import with these kind of wavetables, because these are base wavetables, the import method that you're using is really important. You want to either keep the click always at the same point or the subbase always at the same point. Right, so that the click kind of moves around the subbase. Oh, Ableton? Hello? It has a little bit of trouble with these long files. Ableton is not the best with these long files here. Oh, it's just completely, there we are. Yeah. But now that it loaded, you can see it does change over time. There are like 5 major variations of the process. You can kind of see the repetition here as well. Is one wavetable cycle one bass note? No. No, this is going to be a wavetable that you can set, and then this is going to replace the processing. So you can see that this comes pre-phased, right? With the phase dispersion already kind of in there. Let's see if I can find a better example. I guess the better examples are the ones where they go a bit... No. I might have just taken the wrong process. Maybe the bump process isn't the best. Maybe flip is a bit better. If we zoom into it... Yeah, you can see the phasing that is happening on this. At some point I'll go through it and establish which one of the wavetables is the best. But essentially the idea is that these come pre-processed, so you don't have to process your baseline anymore if you use one of these wavetables. Yeah, this is a good example, right? You can see the kind of traditional wobble that we know from kind of the standard baseline processing. That's the whole idea behind this. Well, if there are no more submissions for feedback, then I'm going to end it here. I do have some work to do, in fact. For those that don't know, I will be going away next week. I do have 6 videos. Not all of them are going to come out next week. So why are they wavetables instead of tones? Well, the process increases in value. So these wavetables encapture not just the process, but also the process for different values. And that's why I have 8 wavetables per process. It's so that you have very high quality of exactly how much of the process you want of that particular process in your wavetable. So that's the point. They just give you as many possibilities as you want. You get many different processes. This is the sub-flip for several different, or the flip process on the baseline with a sub-bass, with many different frequencies and many different settings and many different curvatures. So they all influence kind of the sound of it. And then to get the highest quality possible, I decided to take one kind of sweep of the process from minimal value to maximum value. And then, so that gives you more quality than if it was just in one wavetable or just a single cycle or a single tone. That's the reason why I want to do that, is because I want it to be versatile. You can just set whatever tone that you want. And sure, there's going to be a few processes that sound like shit. And there's going to be a few settings that don't really work well. But that's up to the user to find. Where am I going? I'm going back to my parents' house for a week. So I'm going to go on vacation, chill at the pool, go to the river, chill with my friends. We have the 15th of August celebrations in 2 days. So tomorrow I'm actually traveling down south to my parents. And then the 15th is also their anniversary for my parents. So it's their 39-year anniversary, I think. I think it's 39. I don't think it's 40 yet. But in the afternoon I'll have a lunch with my friends. And then in the evening we'll probably go barbecuing or pizza making or whatever. For those that don't know, we actually have like a pizza furnace at my parents' house. We have a really cool house. My parents have a nice place to live. At some point, I'll be able to afford to live there myself, and then I'll kick my parents out of it, and then I'll take over the house, build a studio in the garage. We'll see. But that means that you may have noticed that the last few videos were a little bit shorter. That was already in preparation. There's going to be 6 more short videos, and that not only gives me time to just go home for the week, but it also gives me time to work on the 3rd installment in the Sidevans for beginners. I've shown this off before, right? Let me... here. The topics. I think, a third done, maybe a quarter done with my script writing here. You can see there's a lot of individual topics that I still have to write out, and then I have to go over all of this again and just check if it's clear enough. But this is going to be like I think a 3-hour video on kick and bass, and just all of the things about kick and bass that you can possibly talk about is going to be encapsulated in one video. So I have time to work on this video as well. These big videos, I like to do them, but it takes so much. Just want to say that your shorts make me laugh every time, and they're very informative. Thank you. Stefan Dorenstein. Is that the German version of saying it? I think it is. Going from Pizzaland back to Holland. But no, my parents also live in Italy. So, for those that don't know, the reason why I live in Italy, why I decided at 16 years old to go to Italy, was because my parents went there. So, yeah, when you're 16, I just turned 16 in it was like a month time that I was 16, so I couldn't stay at home in the Netherlands to actually stay there. Right? My parents decided to move to Italy, so I just kind of had to follow along with them. Not that I hated it. I had friends in a week. It was really nice because we had already gone to a school. Obviously, because I was kind of going into middle school there, I had to, enroll into a school already. And for that, even before we moved in, we went to get everything arranged to make sure that I was immediately enrolled in the school when I get there. And in doing so, I met 2 of the guys that I would be in the same class with, which ended up not being the case because they set me back a year or not set me back a year. I don't really remember the way that it went, but I ended up not coming in the same class as the guy that I met, but they basically let me meet 2 people from the same town, and then a week later I decided to just go out an evening, check what is happening in the town. There was a little bit of a party. Obviously, Italians in the summer, all they do is partying, so the whole summer they organize, not just parties in the sense, but like fests, right? So I decided to go to one of them, and as I was going there, I just saw one of the guys, talk to them, and they're still my friends. So that's really nice. I never really had that connection in the Netherlands, because in the Netherlands, my dad being a banker, having to move every 5-6 years, you couldn't really build up that kind of chemistry, I guess, with people. It wasn't even 5-6 years, maybe like 3 to 5 years. Sounds like a good place to live. Yes. Well, I now no longer live in that town. I now live in Cremona, in my own. Obviously, I have my friends here that I sometimes go out with. I don't go out as much, because obviously music is taking up a lot of time, and I do like to spend even like the evenings working on my music, because it is the case that all of the kind of organizing things and making video things happen during the day. And then in the evening is kind of where I get my creativity moment, right? So that's where I can just sit down and work on a track for a few hours. If I ever get to work on a track for a few hours, it is either during a live stream, and in that case it's work, or it's during the evening. But this is all the kind of stuff that you guys can ask me if you want in the 10K Q&A questions channel here. Everybody can come over. You can ask as many questions as you want. The more the better. Anything about my life, anything about my history, the way that I got into Psytrance may have already been asked. Naming the sources you learned Psytrance production from. Not really. So there's some music stuff already happening, but if you have any other questions that you want to know about me, about my personal life, stuff like that, then you can let me know right here. The other thing, next week there won't be a feedback session, again, because I am away. I'm actually traveling back on a Sunday, but I'm traveling the Sunday afternoon, so I would be in the train at the time that I do my normal feedback stream. So that means that for next week, and I also don't want to do a stream after a day of traveling, because I'll be low energy, and I don't think that that's very entertaining either for you guys as well. So yeah, next week there won't be a stream, including the feedback, the Sunday feedback stream, and then from the week after that, everything should be normal again. And then in September, when I move house, we'll see again how everything is going to work, and stuff like that. I might vlog the whole process of moving into a new house. You guys really enjoyed the Burning Mountain video and the kind of personality video that gave. I hope the 10K video will also bring some personality to my channel, and then maybe do a little bit more with not so much vlogging, but just kind of walking you through setting up the new place and everything like that. Aishi, I hope that's how you pronounce it. Welcome. I am unfortunately in the process of ending the stream. It always happens. It always happens that somebody says hi as soon as you decide to turn off the stream. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Anything else that I wanted to promote? I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't know. Shorts are doing better again today than they did before. Hi Hashi, bye Hashi. Okay, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the feedback and the stream. I'll give you, as I said, one more week. So next week, no feedback. And then the week after that, we'll be back here for the feedback. Did I play at Burning Mountain? I did not play at Burning Mountain. I just went there for the party. Next year, I hope to play there. That would be fun. If I can get... The idea is as follows. I do have my DJ set up here in this apartment, but I don't have the space to put it anywhere that I can like film and really produce a live set that is worth watching. So for my next apartment, that's the reason why I'm moving the bed to the kitchen, so that I can have a space for DJing and a space for production in the same room, and I'll have like a music room and then an everything else room. But as I said, if I'm going to vlog it, if I find a good way to make content out of it, I will, and then I will show everything. I will show the whole setup and the whole moving process, maybe interesting. But I'll see when I get back. First, it's time for vacation for me. So yeah, see you guys in 2 weeks for the feedback, and before that for all of the videos, and maybe a stream before that if I feel like streaming. Not next week, but the week after that. Thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out. See you in the next one.